Good morning. Welcome to morning meeting. So here's what's on my mind this morning. And I'm sure you've noticed this. I'm going to ask a question anyway. Have you ever noticed that we tend to ask people, what is it that you do? Right? And then we listen for that answer. And we're doing it for a few reasons. We're trying to find connection, right? Is there something that we can talk about because we both do it? But we're also assessing the person, right? In terms of what they do versus what we do and what other people we know do. And we're evaluating them based on that. Good, bad, indifferent, that's just what we're doing, right? Well, I don't know, but I gotta tell you, over the last several years, this has been an interesting experiment for me because it's been an experiment. I went from doing consulting work for a company and did it for 10 years, and I was good at that job. Went from that to owning and operating from concept to profitability a tea company. Okay. Did that for, I don't know, 16, 17 years. I can't remember, lost track. And then decided I would go back to school to get a master's in educational psychology. And before we closed our business, our tea company, I transitioned into doing para education work and substitute teaching. Now, keep in mind, I'm a writer, so I've been writing this whole time, right? I just write. But that job is not a really great paying job, quite frankly. It takes time, right? Writing, being an author is a marathon. It is not a sprint for most of us. I know that. I go into shit eyes wide open. But unless I give that background, that context, that other stuff, what I noticed over the years is that I could see in someone's expression that they either weren't interested or they devalued what I did unless I said, oh, by the way, this is what I used to do. So if I lead with, oh, I substitute teach and I do para work occasionally. I don't do that actually anymore. I just do the substitute teaching for the most part. So if I lead with that, the amount of, I can actually see it, the amount of interest and respect that person has for me goes from here to here. But if I then say, and it happens if I say I'm a writer too, because the first question that comes out if I say I'm a writer is, what do you write and how much money do you make? Those are the first two questions that I generally get, which I find odd because I'm like, why would you ask someone how much money they make? But in any case, because that's private. But in any case, I can see that. And I find that really fascinating that we tend to really value, and this is in the United States, I'm not talking about any other cultures, we tend to really value some forms of work and devalue other forms of work, when in reality some of those other forms of work, if they didn't exist, if somebody wasn't doing them, oh my god, we'd be up shit creek without a paddle, right? And we know this. Why? Because of the pandemic. There were certain jobs that were considered essential jobs and others not so much. So some of those higher paying, higher level jobs, not essential jobs. What were the essential jobs? Think about that. What were the essential jobs? The things that we knew as a society, as a culture, we really actually couldn't live without. We needed somebody to keep picking up the garbage, right? We needed somebody to actually be teaching our kids because, oh my God, I have to teach them at home. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Right? We needed the people in the medical field. There were certain things that were essential. So all I'm saying is, when you meet people, maybe come up with a different question to ask. Maybe it's not, what do you do? Which is the standard question. Maybe it's, what are you passionate about? What was it that you wanted to do when you were a kid? Could you do it now? Maybe, maybe not. But I bet it's going to spark a really interesting conversation. And that is so much better than the standard, well, what do you do for a living? Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. What do you think? See you later.